and then count to 10 and then, hey, we're actually live. So for those of you joining us here, we are live. If you can see us and hear us, just leave us a comment here. We do this every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So if you can hear us and if you can see us, just hit the like button or the heart button or whatever. Let us know you're here. Leave us a comment in the chat. Say hi. This is John Evans and Andrea Coster. I'm not sure, Andrea, because I think you have like a different personality or like a different identity, because sometimes it says Coster, sometimes it says Pierstoff. So you're going to have to fill us in on that. But Andrea is here. We know her name is Andrea for sure. So if you can see us, we just like to see your names pop up. So leave us a comment, say something in the chat. Let us know that you're here with us live. I'm super excited for today because if you have failed at building a strong leadership team, first of all, I want you to know it's not your fault. And maybe in the past, you've been concerned that you can't succeed at hiring instructors. We're going to put those fears to rest for you today. Andrea has got so much wisdom on this subject. I am so excited to dive into this. But, we're going to put those fears to rest as far as building a leadership team, hiring people. This is going to be so good. I'm so excited to get into this. But maybe you've heard like some gurus out there, some experts or consultants, and maybe you felt like as you talk to them that they want you to think that you can't do this without them. And that's just simply not true. And a lot of them probably want you to fail, but we're here to tell you that you can actually start building a leadership team. You can start training up quality instructors from within your school. It's just a few easy steps to follow. And we're going to be sharing those steps with you here today. So this is going to be a super valuable live stream. Today is going to be all about how to hire quality instructors, how to build a leadership team who shares your values. And Andrea is the person to talk to about this. So I am excited for this.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And, if you guys are ready to find out what, it takes to build that solid leadership team, hit the like button, drop a comment, let us know how excited you are to be here. This program, we've helped hundreds of schools kind of break through those barriers, those growth barriers over the last several years. And a big piece of that growth comes from having a strong leadership team and the ability to hire from within, quality instructors. We're breaking all the rules, doing the opposite of what everyone is teaching. And, I feel like the old way of doing things is leading you down the wrong path. Today is about clarity. We've watched school owners banging their heads against the wall, and maybe you're doing the same thing, trying to figure out how to hire quality instructors and build a leadership team who shares your purpose and values. And our vision is to build an army of high quality, successful martial arts school owners who are great at what they do, and are known in the community for being those experts on leadership. We want to help martial arts school owners get off of that hamster wheel. Hiring people off of Craigslist. I know we've done this in the past too, or trying to hire, parents within your school, and outside instructors from different schools even, and, the different styles and culture and teaching flow and, waiting to hire even your own students until they're ready, hitting a certain age or hitting a certain rank. I'll throw all of that out the window.
Yeah. And really, I mean, we've seen it over and over again. That stuff just doesn't work. It's way too unpredictable when you try to hire somebody from the outside. It takes so long to train people just on the simple things of like your culture of your school and the philosophy of your teaching style. And then not to mention, if you're waiting for somebody to hit a certain age or rank, I mean, good golly, what is a new school owner supposed to do if they get a bunch of students right away and they're all like, low rank? You're stuck training them all on your own. That's just, I mean, sometimes you just can't handle it. So, we figured out a much simpler way. Andrea has really spent a ton of time building this thing that we call the Senpai program. We've already shown this to a really kind of our elite group of martial arts school owners who are already part of our program. But I'm excited for today because we've seen them like within a couple of months, they're hiring instructors. They're building this profitable legacy. Some of them have even reported doing things like going on a vacation. A martial arts school owner actually having time to like get out of their school. It's amazing, right? So it's very cool. Spending extra time with their parents, spending extra time with the students. It's just awesome to watch. And so it looks like we got some comments going. We're up in here live already, and people are getting into this. So why don't we just dive into it, Andrea?
Yeah. So if you are ready, type ready and get ready to expand your mind. If you're ready to see what's possible, comment ready, because we're gonna dive in here. So let's talk about identifying current students who fit the role that you're looking for. um, you know, we want to make sure that we are finding and clarifying for yourself exactly what it is that you are looking for out of your future instructors. You want to take the time to explain to the students and help build that excitement for being part of that leadership team, because a lot of students don't even know what it is and what it could be. And so when you get excited, their excitement will grow as well. And then you also want to take notice of the students, not necessarily the ones who are amazing at martial arts, but the ones who are in class, who are leaders in their class, regardless of their age and regardless of their rank.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, there's a lot of school owners we talk to. They're still trying to do things kind of the old fashioned way. And it's really just not the world we live in anymore. They're hiring people off Craigslist, like you mentioned. They're going to outside schools or from other styles, different culture as far as like, what are your values and your beliefs in your school versus the values and beliefs in other schools. Sometimes those clash. Most times those clash. Even different like teaching flows and stuff like that. And they're just waiting to hire from within until they hit that perfect age or that perfect rank. And that, I mean, we just know it's unpredictable when you're trying to hire an outsider. You just never know what's going to happen. And then you end up spending it. Maybe some of you guys have experienced this. If you have, just let us know in the comments. Some of the philosophy and the teaching style, just getting that across and teaching that to a new person before they even ever begin teaching actual classes, it can be a huge waste of time. And you're actually, if you wait for them to hit that rank or that age inside your school, like you're wasting all that valuable training time too. So, our first main point that we're going to talk through really is starting leadership training early. I'm going to let Andrea dive into that, but then actually the first thing is really going to be clarifying what the role is for you. So, as a school owner, what does the role look like? A lot of times we're like, I need help. I'm going to hire somebody, and we even know like, what is this person actually going to be doing? How do I clarify what it actually is? I think it's very important to get that clear. And what are your values? What is your teaching flow? What is the culture of your school? Just taking some time to examine that and really understand what it is. We'll go through some of that, but then also we're going to be talking about, making that leadership training start early. And then finally, as we wrap up, we're going to start talking about, you know, cultivating an environment that actually rewards instant volunteer assistance. How many of you guys would like to have instant volunteer assistants that are excited, right? So we're going to cover how to cultivate that environment. I'm excited. I'm going to let Andrea get into some of that.
Yeah. And just as a clarifying point as well, when you are looking and making your own clarifications on what you're looking for, again, take the martial arts out of it. It is so much easier to teach somebody the physical side of martial arts than it is to teach them leadership basics, right? So look for the kids who are already displaying those leader qualities that you can, elaborate on and help grow, because that's going to be who you want to keep your eye out for this team. um Now, what we've seen, we all work together within this system. And a lot of martial arts school owners have a couple of these systems already in place. They're just missing some connecting pieces, one or two different things. And when we shine a light on, hey, this is that missing connection, the whole team just takes off. And it is so fun to watch these things grow. So let's dive a little bit deeper into these. Feel free to type any questions that you have down in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them live. There is going to be a replay, so don't be shy about dropping some questions and everything. We want to answer all the questions, and if you need to, you can message us on the replay as well.
Definitely.
Uh,
Yeah. If you guys
yeah.
would just, yeah. So I'm seeing some comments. Travis is going to be watching comments too.
Mm.
Andrew may be on here watching comments. And if you're on the replay, definitely feel free as you're watching to just enter those comments in as well. And we'll go ahead and, answer those probably in the chat. I think we're going to try and stay on schedule. We got a lot of stuff to get across to you. So Andrew and I are just
Yeah.
going to be kind of like cranking through the content, but the questions we'll handle all in the chat. So definitely do that. And speaking of the comments, if you would, I'm very curious to know what has been the biggest struggle for you when it comes to hiring quality instructors right now. Maybe the biggest challenge you had was just really identifying what that role was, or identifying current students who fit the role. Maybe that was an issue. Maybe you're like, I don't even know how to pick these right people. Maybe it was, well, I'm having troubles starting this leadership training early. I don't know how to do that. Maybe it was cultivating that environment to get those instant volunteer assistants. Maybe it's something totally different that we haven't thought of. Whatever it is, I'm very curious. I love to get the comments, especially on new topics like this, because it really helps us to kind of customize how we are delivering this to you. So, what are you dealing with right now? What are you doing to build a leadership team? What's working for you? What's not working for you? What's your current strategy? I'd love to see those comments here. We'll be looking at those. Travis is going to be chiming in on those as well, and Andrew probably as well. And I'll do my best to kind of bounce back and forth. But while you guys are answering that, Andrew, why don't you kind of dive into what some of the mainstream gurus and some of the experts out there are telling school owners right now? What's some stuff that you've been hearing?
Yeah. So, and I think, school owners have kind of this thought, this block in their head about it as well. But I do hear people who, are claiming to do, leadership things that are saying, they have to be black belts. They have to be a certain age, and the truth is, age and rank have nothing to do with a person's ability to connect with others and set positive examples, to be a role model in class. There is a better way. There's a much better way. And the right way is to have a proven and trusted process for leadership development that transcends age and rank. Some martial arts school owners think, well, they're not going to be able to teach as well as I can, and classes won't go as well if I'm not teaching. But the truth is, having student assistants, and that's all this is. I'm not saying that you're going to do this program and instantly have people to take your entire classes, but this is going to allow them to start that growth process, and it's going to give you an opportunity to have hands off of certain aspects and do more work in others that you haven't been able to do. So, the truth is that having those assistants on the floor allows you to widen your lens and have more control over the entire floor, not just the students, but what is happening everywhere, and allows you time to connect with the parents, which is crucial for the business. Now, remember, we have helped hundreds of schools break through the growth barriers over the past several years. And a big piece of that growth comes from having a strong leadership team and the ability to hire quality instructors. So it has become crystal clear on what separates the successful martial arts school owners who want to build a leadership team and train quality instructors from within, from the unsuccessful. And do you guys want to hear what we found? Yes, you do. Type in the comments a big capital yes if you want to hear what separates the most successful martial arts school owners from the bottom. And so here's what we do. Listen up, because John's going to kind of take you through some stuff.
Well, this was the epiphany for me. As we've gone through this process numerous times, the moment for me where I was like, I get it now. I understand, because sometimes I could empathize with school owners where they're like, well, they got to be a black belt, or they have to be a certain age, because I don't want somebody younger teaching somebody older. I don't want some yellow belt showing somebody who's like, that kind of stuff always kind of landed on me like I don't really know how to answer that. But when I saw what Andrea was doing in her school, this is what happens. Parents love to see the leadership potential of their children. And what better way to showcase leadership skills than to put them into a leadership role? I mean, when I heard that and I saw that, I was just like, oh, this is the real thing. And I know, Andrea, if you would just, you told me a story about somebody And I just want to hear that. So I love that story, but you
Yeah,
tell as well.
it's the finger shaking one, right?
Yeah.
So when we were first kind of jumping into the leadership game, this was years ago at this point, and when we had the very first class that we had our assistants basically running all the different drills we had out, and I was able to step back and kind of observe the floor as a whole. At the end of class, I was really nervous because I was like, this is the first time doing this. I have no idea how it's going to work. And I had a parent come like, I don't even want to say marching. It was like storming towards me, finger pointed, like shaking at us. And Mr. Reed was there too. And we were like, oh no, we're in so much trouble. Like this did not go well. And he stopped and he was like, this is exactly what I want for my kids. That was amazing. Like the martial arts, great. You guys are already doing a great job, but that is what I want my kids to be. And lo and behold, all three kids are actually, and the parent too. He joined, and now he's doing leadership with us as well. So
I love it. I love it. And I
it
think
works.
it's amazing. That story is such like a an all-encompassing tale of the type of experiences that we hear a lot of schools going through as they start implementing this stuff. But I think one
Yeah.
thing that people worry about is that, oh, well, I'm afraid I'm going to lose students because they're paying me to teach them, and they're not paying me for some young or low-ranking volunteer to be teaching classes. And I would just love to just kind of like hit you dead square in the nose with this and just say, it's really time to drop the ego. Of course, you are important to the school. Obviously, this is as a school owner, the value that you bring is really your vision for their potential. So it doesn't always have to rely just on your instruction alone. And when you start to allow students to be leaders, it actually is delivering on that promise to create leaders. And so that's what I love about this whole process. And, the way I see it is, Andrea has said this to me in the past. We all started as like some dumb young kid. Somebody somewhere had to give us the opportunity to become a leader, right? And so I just love that. And, Andrea has experienced this as a school owner herself. And we've taught this to every member of our Senpai program. It's so simple. It's such a no brainer. But there's still some school owners that at this point would tell us something like, well, nobody in my school is ready anyway for this. And, Andrea, I'd love to hear your answer to this because it's so profound and so simple. But if somebody says to you, well, nobody in my school is ready to do this, what would you say?
Of course, they're not ready yet. You haven't started training them. Um, but that's the beauty of it is the senpai program is a quick start to leadership, and it's going to give you students who are well on their way to being able to be ready for you. And here's the proof, right? So I have a couple students who started, they were part of the original leadership team with me about 5-6 years ago, and a couple years into it, they were already running classes. I made appearances on the floor. I like wrapped class up with everybody just because, the parents wanted to see me. I wanted to be part of it. But now they're not even 18 yet, and they are running classes for me. They are the reason that I get to go on vacation. Um, and some people ask, what if I spend time training the person and they're not the right fit? And that is a great question, and it is a valid fear. But stick around to the end, and we're going to cover exactly how to handle that situation. But
Yep.
first, yeah,
No, I was just going to
John.
say, when you said that, when you said, what if I spend time training this person and they're not the right fit? It just made me think of this great quote that I heard once about this exact type of scenario. Somebody said, well, what if I spend a bunch of time training this person and they don't become a good leader? And the response was, what if you don't spend time with this person and they do stick around?
Yeah,
Like what happens then? What value are you actually like putting on to the student if you're not training them how to be leaders and they stick around forever? It just becomes
right.
like kind of an invaluable, a non-valuable situation, right? So are you guys getting
Yeah.
some value out of this? I love it when Andrea trains on this stuff because she's so passionate about it and she's so good and she's so experienced at it. So if you guys are getting value out of this, just type the word value in the comments right now. Let us know that you're getting some value out of this. That's the reason we do this, is to give you value. And maybe, and I'm hoping there's some mental shifts happening right now where you're thinking like, oh, you know what? I used to think I couldn't have only black. I used to think it had to be black belts and it had to be a certain age. They got to be 18 or they got to be 25, whatever that number is in your head, and they have to have a black belt. Maybe you're thinking now, like, maybe with the right system and the right process, I could implement this with some younger or some lower ranking people. So I just want to give you a quick recap. What we talked about so far, we talked about identifying those current students who fit the role. We kind of touched on that a bit. We talked about clarifying your exact wants and needs for the role itself. We talked through helping students understand the excitement of being a part of the leadership team. And then we also started talking about taking notice of those students who are already leaders in the class, regardless of their age and rank. But I would love for you to just feel free right now to chat in some questions about this stuff. And, the thing is that it works because we have an entire system built around it. If you just were trying to just like throw one of these things up, or, I'll dabble in this a little bit, that's where failure comes along, right? We've seen a lot of people have tried something similar and failed, and it's really because there's not a process built around this. And so hopefully you're seeing how dialed in this is. It's not just some like willy-nilly, oh, let me start a quote unquote leadership team and make them do some drills and that's it. Like, there's an actual process around that. And that's what Andrea here has really built inside of the Senpai program. It's amazing. So if you're getting value, type the word value right now so we can see. This is a strange experience in the world we live in right now, because we can talk to you and you can hear us, but we can't see your faces. The only way we know if you're getting value out of this is if you type the word value. So please do that. Let us know if you have questions. And but really what I'm hoping, like, I don't need the feedback. It's fine if we're in an empty room. It doesn't bother me. But what I really want is that this knowledge is being, I keep losing the word here, Andrew. I don't know what the word is, but like, we're trying to get this into your brain. So I hope you're realizing that you can do this too. It's not just something that some special person or some, it doesn't require any previous skill set. If you have the right process and system, you can implement this in your school.
Yeah, and it's worked. I mean, I've spent years developing this program and doing it within my own school, and so it does work. And obviously, we've seen so many schools that have implemented this, and it works for them, and it could work for you too. Um, and one of the reason that it works is because we are starting leadership training early. The gurus and the experts and consultants get it wrong because they say, you still have to put an age and rank requirement on this team. I don't want to have somebody younger teaching somebody older on the floor. They're not smart enough or experienced enough to teach the class. But the truth is that we always, and I still do this, and I'm aware of it, we underestimate the ability of our students because of age and rank. Kids are so much smarter than we give them credit for. And if we give them the challenge, they will rise to it. And, in fact, it's what this younger generation is actually craving. They want the challenge and responsibility. And if we give it to them, they will run with it and they will surpass the expectations we're setting for them. And so using this proven method is the fastest and easiest way to get the results. I mean, you can try a bunch of things that you've seen out there and go through a bunch of trial and error and spend a fortune or a bunch of time trying to figure it out. We've already done all of that for you. And on top of that, you might be wondering, well, I don't want to babysit my instructors. I don't want to have to worry about my students and the instructors. Won't I have to constantly be watching them and correcting them? And that's another great question. And if you have the proven system, you can trust your team to do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, totally. Definitely. So, all right. Well, that's kind of part 2 we've been through already. So if you're getting value out of this, make sure you're typing the word value in there. Just a quick recap of what we covered so far. We talked about part 1 was really about identifying current students who fit the role. I think we've covered that pretty well. Part 2 is really starting that leadership training early. And like Andrea said, it's not like you're just immediately making them an instructor and putting them on your payroll. Like, leadership is about getting those assistants trained up in an environment that is, conducive to that. So they're learning how to do that, because what's better than having a pool of a bunch of people who are already indoctrinated with your values of your school? They already understand the culture. They know your teaching flow. Now, when you're actually ready to hire a person, it's like, oh, well, I know the perfect person for that because they've already asked me 4 times when I'm going to hire them. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's great. So hopefully you're kind of getting this. Maybe it's starting to make some sense now. Let us know in the chat if you're getting this, if it's landing on you well, if you're getting good value out of this. We'd love to see the chat in the comments. So let's go a little bit deeper. Let's talk about that third topic, which is cultivating an environment that rewards instant volunteer assistance. And Andrea, I'm going to let you dive into this, but I know that there's some school owners out there that have what I would call false beliefs. And the biggest one is probably, I don't want people to think I'm just creating like a slave labor force or asking people to work for free while I'm over here sitting on my hands. So can you share some of your experience with that, as far as like what it's like to have volunteer assistants in class with you while you're kind of working the floor and talking to parents?
Yeah, and I know I had this fear as well when I was first starting the leadership team. But the truth is that when you have a proven leadership system that actually produces real leaders who are able to be positive examples, role models for your students, they're able to speak in front of the class and inspire others, you'll automatically have a team of excited volunteers who want to serve the purpose of the school. The experience is the reward. And I have never had more students asking me to help and be an intern. And I have too many, I don't know what to do with all of them. I don't have enough space in classes for them all. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. And something else that I think we hear sometimes, and maybe you can address this too, is,
Yeah.
well, oh my gosh, I don't have time to create this whole new program for leadership development. Like that's a whole, like I'm already trying to come up with curriculum. That's hard enough just for teaching martial arts. Now I got to make this whole leadership development too. How would you
Yeah.
answer that?
And I understand why that is very daunting. But that's why we have this program put together. It's so you don't have to think about it. It is complete, it is proven, and all you have to do is put it into action.
Yeah, it's turnkey.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So, guys, are you getting something out of this? I hope you are. I hope you're enjoying this live stream here today. If you are, just type a big capital yes in the comments. Just to give you a quick recap of things that we've covered so far. We talked about identifying current students who fit the role. We talked about starting leadership training early. And we talked about cultivating that environment that rewards instant volunteer assistance. And hopefully you're seeing too, this is a complete system. Like each part serves the other parts. And it really is full circle. When you start identifying current students who fit the role, that serves the system to start that leadership training early. You can see the connection there. And then that process of starting early leads into that cultivation of that environment that is rewarding those instant volunteer assistants. So you can see how that serves the next part. And then having that turns around and it goes back and helps you identify those current students who fit the role. And this process just becomes this automatic thing inside your school that is just so amazing to watch. And the cycle just completes and repeats. And the problems arise when you try something similar to this. You've done leadership stuff in the past. If you don't have the process, the cycle built like that, the whole thing falls apart, right? If something's broken in that process, like everything falls away, and then you lose it. And so this has been designed, it's been tested, it's been observed over the past few years. We have this dialed in so good at this point, and Andrea is so good at like training people on this and taking people through it. And that's really, why we brought her onto the team, was for this exact reason, was because me and Travis are great marketers. We know how to market and we know how to get people in the door, but we had this like overwhelming need within the group to go, hey, now I have all these students. I'd like to have a little bit of time off. Like, what do I do now? And so that was really what urged us to bring in who we believe is the best at this. And so, I think we kind of, at the point we're at in our business, we kind of have the pick of, let's see, who do we want to work with? Andrea was at the top of our list. Mr. Reed had introduced us to her. and showing us some of the stuff that she had built. And so I'm amazed by the process, and I've seen it implemented in schools for people who are already members of our program, but we've never actually opened it up to anybody outside of our like core group. And so that's why I'm excited about today. So I see a bunch of people are excited about this. They're all saying yes, that they're getting value out of this. So that's good feedback. Thank you guys. So just a quick recap. We've talked about identifying the current students who fit the role. We talked about starting leadership training early. We talked about cultivating that environment that rewards instant volunteers. Maybe you're thinking though, how do I actually do this? Maybe you're like, how do I actually build a leadership team or train up quality instructors? Something like, what is that process? What does the process look like? And I would just love to kind of turn it back to you and say, well, what if we already had these systems and processes built around the exact thing? How much easier would it be then? Maybe you really want to start finding some extra time to spend with your students and your parents. Maybe you see the need for private lessons, or maybe you see the need for, hey, if I wasn't teaching this class, I could help this student really excel, but I'm just so busy with everybody else. Well, what if we had a strategic plan in place on how to carry that stuff out? The systems and processes already in place that you just turnkey plug in and it's working in your school. And maybe you've got questions. Maybe you're like, well, I don't know. What's specifically in my school? Here's my situation. How do I identify current students who fit the role? How do I actually figure out what is the exact need for the role? How do I come up with that? How do I analyze what I'm doing here? Maybe you need some clarification on how to help students be excited and be part of the leadership team. Maybe you're struggling with like, how do I get them actually excited to do this? Or even just taking notice of the students. Like, how do you identify them? What are the specific traits and what are the things, regardless of age and rank? And maybe you're struggling with a few of these things that we talked through. I don't know what it is, but what I'd love to do is just send out some invitations. Is that all right, Andrea? Can we send some invitations out? Are you good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, if you're here live and you're watching live, or even if you're on the replay right now and you're watching this, we're syndicating over a few different platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. I think we're on our live stream page. There's probably some other places too. It's hard to keep track. We just click a button and it goes everywhere. But if you want to build a solid leadership team, but you're not exactly sure how to do that, maybe you're struggling at some of the things that we talked through already, maybe all of them, maybe one or two, whatever it is, we actually want to help you. And one of the things that we always love to repeat is something I heard from one of my mentors, Frank Kern. He says, we want to show you that we can help you by actually helping you. And so the way we're going to do this is we're going to help you figure this out. We're going to help you get to that place where we've seen and we've shared some of our members are already at, where their wildest dreams are becoming true. They're actually building these solid leadership teams. They're finding this extra time. They have a proven way to build the team, and they're training up quality instructors from within. So if you want some insight on this, we would love to open up some time for what we call a game plan call. And what will happen is it's just a quick phone call, 5 to 10 minutes. So if you want that, type the word game in the comments right now, GAME. It's like a game plan. And what will happen is, we've got these programs that are working great. And I'm sure Andrea would love to share some more stories. We'll let her do that in a second. But really, our vision is to build this army, like she said, an army of high quality, successful martial arts schools who are great at what they do and known in the community. And if that sounds like something you want to do, just type the word game in the comments right now, and we'll reach out to see if what you want to do is a good fit for what we call our Senpai program. And so, Andrea, could you just kind of share maybe a story or two about somebody who's implemented this stuff and the kind of results that they're getting?
Yeah, so I'll never forget one of the first people that brought this program to their school, and as they were going through the trainings, I remember she just said, "I'm crying right now. This is exactly what I need. This is so wonderful." And being able to follow these processes of, hey, I'm implementing this. This is where I'm at. These are the results that I'm starting to see. Like, I have people on the floor. They're doing these little things. I have so much more time to talk to parents and new students, and be able to really cultivate that rapport with those newer people, is already helping them not only with their current students, but with incoming students as well. And the parents are loving seeing the leadership, and they're like, I want my kid to do that someday. How do I get on it? And so it's just very exciting to see how those schools are growing.
Yeah, I remember that was somebody that posted in our Facebook group, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
He was like, "I can't believe it. I just signed up for the senpai, and I'm literally crying because we'll have to find that and post it in the comments
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that was a great one. So yeah, good stuff. So if you want that game plan call, just type the word game in the comments right now. Nothing for sale on this call. All we're going to do is ask you what's going on in your school, what kind of challenges are you running into, what kind of problems are you having or facing, and then from there we'll just kind of talk you through if the program is a good fit. We'll show you kind of like maybe this is a good fit. We can go deeper into it at a later time. But really, this call is really just for us to kind of get to know each other and to dive in and kind of like you get to talk to us on a one-on-one basis and see, do I even want to work with these guys? And we get to talk to you and kind of decide the same thing. So if you will go ahead and type the word game in the comments, if that's something that you're interested in, we will reach out probably through Messenger. It'll either be myself or Travis or Andrew. We'll probably reach out to set that appointment up. And right now, I can tell you, like from experience, we've had so many members say that this was the best decision they've ever made for their martial arts school. And I know for me, it's way more rewarding to see a school owner who's building a profitable legacy than it is to like run a credit card. Whatever you spend with us is going to be, you're going to get so much more value out of it. And the good news is on a game plan call like this, you don't even need to bring your credit card. In fact, you can't buy anything. We've had a couple of people get on a game plan call and we're like, yeah, it sounds like a good fit. Let's set up a call for this. And they're like, oh, that's it. Like, I want to sign up for your program. We're like, well, hold on, slow down. We needed to get a little deeper than 5 to 10 minutes before we put you into our program because we protect our community too. So you cannot buy on this call is my point. It's 5 to 10 minutes. It's just a quick like, hey, how's it going? Let's dig a little deeper and let's get you a game plan so that by the end of the call, you have some clarity and you're like, okay, I understand. These are my next steps to do the right thing and to get this thing on rolling. And sometimes we'll give you some homework. Sometimes we find that it's actually not a good fit and we'll actually refer you to something that would be a better fit. We've done that multiple times. And so if you're interested in just learning what it is, maybe what part of the process you're missing, or maybe figuring out what challenges you're facing and really learning how we could help, we will go through that actual game plan with you on that call. And just, kind of where we're coming from. I think it goes without saying that the martial arts is important, right? Obviously, the martial arts part is important. It's probably the most important when it comes to like providing quality curriculum. I think it goes without saying. We don't have to like say that. But if you do not have a good curriculum yet, like this is not the right call for you. If you like what someone would say, like McDojo minded, where you're just like, everybody passes the test and you just pay the money and you get your belt like that. We're not into that. Like you have to have a good curriculum first. You have to do good martial arts. Beyond that, leadership, is the next level to that. So if you're like a do nothing, get paid type school, you're probably not watching this anyway. We usually have a good we usually don't let you in the group to begin with. But if you snuck in here somehow, just kindly exit and don't book a call. We only want to work with martial arts school owners who are truly interested in building a leadership team or training up quality instructors from within the right way with the right curriculum already in place. So if that's you, just type the word game in the comments right now. Any final words before we wrap up here, Andrea?
Yeah, just be ready to have your mind blown with how easy this is. And one final story, just really quick, like John was saying earlier, once you implement this, it just keeps progressing. And the rotation those wheels keep spinning. And right now we have a couple students that have been in our leadership program for like 1 or 2 years now. They've just kind of been, working those base levels, and they're only 12. And they are already starting to come to us and saying, hey, Miss Coster, I have an idea for a drill. And it's a good drill because they listen to how we teach and why we teach and how we break things down. And they start to think about it and they're like, hey, can we do this? And I'm like, that is my mind is blown. I was like, absolutely. Let's add that in. And so I can't even imagine where they're going to be by the time they're ready to be a paid instructor. They're going to be able to just hit the ground running. And I don't know what I'm going to do with my time at that point. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
That's amazing. It's great. It's great. And those are the kind of stories we hear all the time. So if you guys are looking for that strategy on how to hire those instructors, how to build that leadership team, or maybe you just like, you know what? I want to find some extra time to spend with students and parents. This is the way you do that, is by having this leadership team, by being able to hire those instructors. So go ahead and type the word game in the comments right now, and then we will reach out to you. I promise you're going to get a ton of insight, a ton of value. We'll see if you're a good fit. You'll see if we're a good fit. So the final time I'm going to say it, go ahead and type the word game in the comments right now. We will reach out. And I just want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. This is an absolute great time. Always love having Andrea on. Thank you, Andrea, for sharing your wisdom with us here today. And hopefully everybody that's watching has gotten good value out of this. And I hope you all really enjoyed this. So that's all we've got for today. And we will be back here next Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern right here in the group. So thanks.